Hey Canucks fans, today I want to talk about Alex Edler, his career and his future. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. This is my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Saturday, November the 28th. This is where you get Canucks insight that's positive and timely. Before I start, 2 programming notes. Number 1, today's Saturday, that means tomorrow's Sunday. That means tomorrow is my weekly Ask Me Anything vlog. So ask me a question, leave it in the comments below. Just mark it AMA for Ask Me Anything. That way I'll see it, and that way I'll know to answer it in tomorrow's vlog. Secondly, I want to invite you to view a collab I did with my friend John. He's Off the Wall Hockey here on YouTube. He's doing a really cool series looking at all 31 teams, looking at each team's offseason, departures, additions, free agent signings, trades, whatever it may be. And I got to talk about the Vancouver Canucks, of course. So check it out. Make sure you give them a sub and a like while you're there. And I'll put the link to the collab in the description below. Okay, today I want to talk about Alex Edler. And I realize I don't talk about Alex Edler a lot on this channel. And it's not because I don't like him. I think he's great. I think it's because he's a steady Eddie. Pun completely intended. And he's been the longest tenured Canuck. He's so consistent, and he maybe he doesn't make the news like a Pettersson, a Hughes, a Besser, or Horvat might make. But that's probably one of the endearing qualities about him. So I was inspired to do this because I saw him in Richmond. I didn't want to bother him too much because I knew where he was going. But I just said a quick, "Hello, Alex. I hope you have a really good season this year." And he said, "Thanks very much." And he just kind of went on his way. I don't think he knows me by name, but I definitely think he recognizes me only from a standpoint of I've been very involved with Canucks charity things over the past 3 or 4 years, golf tournaments, dice nights, those kind of things. And I always make a point to say hi to him, and he's always been very, very friendly. So again, I don't think he knows me by name. He may or may not recognize me by face. I mean, who wouldn't, right? I'm just kidding. But it was nice to say hi, and it got me thinking, maybe I should vlog about him and give him his due. So Alex Edler, Swedish player, obviously, drafted in 2004. So he's 34 years old now, which will come into my discussion a little bit, but he's 34 years old. He'll be 35 at the end of next season. So he's drafted in 2004, 91st overall. Now, when you do the math, you think that would be the start of the 4th round, right? 30, 60, 90. But no, it was actually the end of the 3rd round, because for some reason that year, there was 30 picks in the 1st round, one for each team at the time. And then there were 35 picks in the 2nd round. So that took it to 65, and then another 30 to 35 picks in the 3rd round. So basically, 91st overall at the end of the 3rd round. The Canucks traded up. They traded with Dallas to get that pick because they were afraid that Detroit was going to pick Alex Edler 6 picks later. Detroit ended up going with another Swedish player, Johan Franzen. So that was kind of interesting in that obviously the Canucks had Thomas Stradin scouting in Sweden, and of course Detroit had some scouts scouting in Sweden as well. And you just think of some of the Swedes that Detroit has picked up over the years, the Zetterbergs and the Lidstroms of the world. So no surprise that Detroit wanted him as well, but the Canucks traded up ahead of Detroit so they could pick him at the end of the 3rd round. He signed his entry-level deal in 2006, and then in the 2006-2007 season, played 22 games back and forth from Manitoba and Vancouver. Now he's played 14 full seasons for the Canucks, and he's the franchise leader in games played with 873. Franchise leader for all defensemen. 873 games played, 92 goals, 302 assists, 401 points. Those are all franchise leading totals for Canucks defensemen. Again, 873 games, 99 goals, 302 assists, 401 points. And then in the playoffs, he's played the most of any defenseman for the Canucks in 82 games, but hasn't had the same statistical prowess. He's not the leader in goals, assist, points. Maybe he will be at the end of this season. Who knows? But he's still decent, almost a point every 2 games. 8 goals, 30 assists, 38 points in 82 playoff games, including a strong 7-point showing this past postseason. So he is being a very, very steady player for the Canucks over the 14 seasons. And we know that he's kind of started slowly, but he didn't have to be the man. You think of his 2010-2011 run where we had such a stacked blue line of Christian Ehrhoff, of Kevin Bieksa, Sammy Salo, Dan Hamhuis. It's just a really, really, and then Keith Ballard, Aaron Rome, basically rounding it out. So a really, really good defensive core on that 2010-2011 team. And it was actually after Ehrhoff left, shortly after that, that Edler really blossomed as our go-to defenseman, along with a guy like Dan Hamhuis and Kevin Bieksa. So you look at Edler's career statistics. He's played 14 seasons. He's only played all 82 games once. That was in the 2011-2012 season. And then, and he played most of the lockout season the year after that, the 2012-2013 season. But then, he's had 1 year of 80 games, but then you see like totals like 52, 68, 63, 51, 76. So he's had his fair share of injury trouble, including some knee trouble, back trouble, and some suspensions, which I'll get to in a second, which were surprising. But overall, our most steady defenseman, our longest tenured defenseman since he started his career 14 seasons ago. And you look at his point total, it's pretty impressive, actually. Always somewhere in the 20 to 40 range. He had 2 seasons where he had 42 and 49 points, but generally you can count on him for a good 25, 30, 35 points. And this past season, he did really well. He had 33 points in only 59 games. So extrapolate to full 82, even though he couldn't play a full 82 because of COVID. And secondly, he only played 59 of the 69, but that's a 40 or 45 point season, which would have been his best in a decade. So overall, Edler still has a lot of game in him. We know what he is. He's very steady. He loves to play goalie in the defensive end. He's still a big body. He's not afraid to lay out the body and use his body, clear out the front of the net. He's not the best skater, but he's a decent skater for his size. But he's obviously defensively responsible. And then he was our number 1 power play quarterback until Quinn Hughes showed up on the scene. But he's still quarterbacked our second unit, but he'll likely be replaced by Nate Schmidt on that second unit this upcoming season. But overall, you cannot complain about how loyal he is. He's an alternate captain. I kept messing up. You guys know I kind of joked about this in the comments yesterday. I kept saying associate captain. He's an alternate captain. He's been so for many, many years. He will be this season. So a locker room leader, and then a leader on the ice as well. Very soft-spoken though, leads by example, lets other guys do a lot of the talking. But a couple of things I want to talk about to wind this discussion up. One of them is his contracts. His ELC, 3 years at $550,000 a year. Then his next contract was 4 years at 3.25. Then the big one was 6 years at $5 million a season. And then his most recent one is 2 years at $6 million a season. So he's gone from 550 to 3.25 to 5 million to 6 million. Very interesting. Before he signed that big 6-year, $30 million contract, $5 million a season in 2012, 2013, 2013 for the 2013-2014 season. Again, the Detroit Red Wings were rumored to be the other team that were in the mix to sign him as a UFA. So not only did they want to draft him, but they wanted to loop back to him 7 years later. No surprise, we know how much Detroit loves their Swedes, as I mentioned earlier. So that was kind of interesting. And then one other thing that I found was really interesting is I always thought that he could be more aggressive a player for his size. And I do remember, I think when he was younger in his career, he was more aggressive. But then I found a point where he got suspended 3 times in the span of 6 months. In March 2013, you might remember this, he ran over Phoenix goalie Mike Smith behind the net, ran him over, although Edler really had no place to go. There's hardly any room, and Smith was kind of crazy coming out of the net to play. So Edler got a 2-game suspension there. Then 2 months later in the World Championships, he went knee on knee with Canadian captain Eric Stahl. Not the best look on Edler. Got 4-game suspension, so 2 games were World Championships. Then the following 2 were carried over to the 2014 Winter Olympics when he played for Sweden. And then, so that was March on Smith, May on Eric Stahl, and then October to start the season, he got suspended 3 games for an illegal check to the head of the San Jose forward Thomas Hertl. So 3 suspensions in 6 months. I remember when it happened that I was going to wonder if it was going to change the way Edler played, and I think it did actually. Edler then didn't use his body as much. Maybe he was scared that he was getting a reputation. Maybe he was scared of more suspensions. So he hasn't been suspended since that I can remember. But I realized that he's played more of a passive game. And now his penalties, you can count on Edler, unfortunately, for a hooking or a holding penalty at least once a game, sometimes more, just because he's not as fleet of foot as he usually is. Okay, so that's maybe the one negative, but overall, really, really good player. Want to end off and talk about his future. He's going to end off this season, ending off a 2-year contract, paying him $6 million a season, and he'll be 35 years old, as I mentioned off the top of this video. What is your thought? What's your prediction on what he's going to do next? I talked about this a few days ago in a different vlog. I have a feeling he's either going to sign a 1 or 2 year with the Canucks for cheaper than $6 million. The Canucks simply can't afford to pay him that much on a declining asset. Or I think he's going to retire. I simply don't see him. You can never say never, but I don't think Edler's preference is to play for another team. His family's here in Vancouver. They love it here. He loves Vancouver. He's had opportunities to go to waive no trade clauses, all these kind of things, but he hasn't done so yet. So I think he's either going to sign a 1 or 2 year deal to continue to mentor some younger players and bridge the gap until the Ulevis and the Rathbones of the world are ready on the left side, or I think he's going to flat out retire. And then, because I just don't see him playing for another team. Now, another team could make him a 1 or 2 year deal that he can't say no to, and I would respect that. But that's just my gut feeling. If I had to state a case now, I think it's one of those two options. 1 or 2 years with the Canucks, cheaper, maybe $3 or $4 million a season as opposed to 6. Or he's going to retire at 35 years old and call it a career after 14 great seasons. I put those two options over signing within another team, but who knows? Detroit might loop back for a third time, and maybe this time it'll be third time lucky. So Canucks fans, there you go. I wanted to talk about Alex Edler today. I want to get your thoughts on him. What is his legacy here? Not that he's retiring or anything, but I wanted to kind of give a bit of appreciation to Alex Edler, our longest tenured Canuck, and maybe start to open the conversation what you think might happen with him at the end of this upcoming season as his 2-year contract ends. Leave a comment below. I love to read, react, and reply as always. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. And don't forget to leave me a question for tomorrow's Ask Me Anything vlog. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. Have a great day. God bless, and go Canucks go.